You're watching GS TV UK. Keep watching.
Hello and welcome to the program What's Going On in South Asia. My name is Amjad Shah and you're watching GS TV UK. And this week we are going to talk about Kashmir, the Indian-administered part in particular. It has been under a security and communication lockdown ever since India scrapped its autonomy in 2019. Kashmir has long been a flashpoint between India and Pakistan, and by revoking the Indian-administered Kashmir autonomy, India has just made things worse. Although Islamabad says not to the point of it considering military action, but the Pakistani government is looking to challenge Kashmir disputed status politically and legally. It's downgraded diplomatic ties with New Delhi, suspended trade and shut down a major train services to its neighbor.
Daily life is very difficult. People don't go to school many weeks and months of the year. Businesses remain closed for a good part of the year as well because of curfews or strikes.
But what's going on ground and why Indian-administered Kashmir is such a hot spot? Let's start with the big picture. Kashmir is a divided region controlled by three nuclear powers: India, Pakistan and China. But in this program, we are going to focus on the part that controls by Indian government. The vast majority of nearly 13 million residents here are Muslim, Buddhist and Hindus are here too. It's also naturally stunning. Kashmir, grass valley and green rolling hills around it are rich in agriculture. The Indus River, an important water system in South Asia, runs right through it. It's one of the most disputed regions in the world. So why is that? Here is a very quick version of a long and also very debated story. After the British left the subcontinent in 1947, it was partitioned to create two new nations, Hindu majority India and Muslim majority Pakistan. Several princely states could choose which country to join, and Kashmir was one of them.
Kashmir was a Muslim state, the ruler was a Hindu. By the logic of partition, it should have gone to Pakistan.
But it didn't. According to some historical accounts, the Hindu ruler of Kashmir at the time, a man named Hari Singh, was actually considering independence, but ended up acceding the Muslim majority region to India. In 1947, India and Pakistan went to war over Kashmir. The United Nations took up issue and classified Jammu and Kashmir as Indian-administered part.
Slogan that Kashmir belongs to Kashmiris. This phrase should be made a base to decide the fate of Kashmir. They have suffered for more than 7 decades, and it's time to give them the right to decide their own fate. So the only solution is they should be given the right to self-determination and decide their own fate according to their own wishes.
So the terminology of it administered really just means that it's temporal. It was the UN that then kind of passed a resolution on Kashmir, which was basically calling for self-determination or plebiscite to happen in Kashmir.
A vote on self-determination in Kashmir never happened. And India and Pakistan ended up fighting 2 more wars over Indian-administered Kashmir. That conflict has been a major international story for decades.
In many ways, over the past few decades, that autonomy has been completely eroded. But what remained was something else called Article 35A, which basically gave Kashmiris their own rights to their land, which meant that only state subjects of Jammu and Kashmir could buy and sell property in Kashmir.
People of Kashmir did get some autonomy in 1947, and that was because of Article 370 and the Indian Constitution. It gave the region of Jammu and Kashmir a special status.
Meaning it could have its own prime minister, its own flag, its own constitution, its own legislative assembly. India would have control over Kashmir's foreign affairs, defense, and communications.
But in the summer of 2019, that autonomy was revoked. India's lawmakers suddenly scrapped Article 370, a sudden and momentous decision. India's government says it's revoking special privilege granted to Indian-administered Kashmir. India shut down communication, no internet, no food, and security measures like curfew was imposed. Local activists say thousands of people, including activists and even pro-India politicians, arrested, reportedly rounded up.
The illegal and unconstitutional development made in Article 370 of Indian Constitution, which abolishes the special status of Kashmir and make it a union territory controlled by Indian government. It means that Kashmir will lose its special status and it will now be totally controlled under the Indian law. Some gross human rights violations are being recorded in Indian-occupied Kashmir by the Indian government. They violated all the human rights conventions and ignored all the obligations of UN made for the protection of human rights. The right to life, right to free movement, right to freedom of expression, right to free access to basic necessities of life, and in fact that every right has been violated and infringed. The OHCR has also mentioned the violations of Indian government in Indian-occupied Kashmir, while the international media and Human Rights Watch have also covered all the human rights violations which have been committed in Indian-occupied Kashmir.
One of the first things that you do notice in Indian-administered Kashmir is Indian soldiers. They are everywhere else in the region. Around 250,000 of them were here in 2004, but today it's thought there are many as 700,000 Indian military forces in the region, which is half of the India's entire active military. Meanwhile, the whole Indian-administered Kashmir is firmly being split into two Indian Union territories. One is Jammu and Kashmir and the other is Ladakh. It means they are now directly governed by New Delhi, and any form of autonomy, it is obviously gone. Kashmiris say that sort of been case for a while. That's enough for today. For more news and update, keep watching GS TV UK.